Thanks for having me.
So what do you think about these numbers? Is it evidence that the president is keeping his promise to crack down on illegal immigration? Is he winning on this issue?
Well, listen, there's no question about that, and this is what the president is very good at. He set a plan. He's executing the plan. We talked about this Friday on your show about it's cutting the slack in the labor markets, which is very, very good for the African American and Hispanic American unemployment numbers. There is a reason why those numbers tightened the way they did, and wages have started to go up. One thing that we should share with people is that wages in the United States over the last 35 years have actually flatlined, but during this administration, they're up about 2.5%, 3%. That's just another sign that the president's program is working. And so I'm very happy to get rid of the child separation policy, abolish that. But the zero tolerance policy is something that is actually helping working class families and middle class Americans, and so this is super important that he stays on track with this.
It's really fascinating to hear you tie those two together, because we have been seeing the president tout those economic numbers. We've seen growth, wages have been slow to come up, but those unemployment numbers have certainly come down, and you're referencing specific demographics that are benefiting from this crackdown on illegal immigration at the border.
There's no question. You have to also remember the legendary economist Milton Friedman once said that if you're going to have a welfare state, you have to have a very tight and secure border. The United States has a welfare state, which obviously we're all fine with. We need to protect the people that are poor in our country. But if you have an open border and a welfare state, free market forces dictate that people are going to run across the border, or to use the president's lines, they're going to pour across the border. And so this policy is actually working. Let me tell you something, it's going to mean more economic progress for these families going into November, going into 2020. And so the president's instincts are correct on this. And as long as it's done in a humane and fair and judicious way, I don't think the American people have a problem with it. If anything, I think the president's instincts are right here, that this will be something he'll be able to campaign on in 2020. I was going to say,
as far as political implications, we're expecting polls to close in several states tonight. That special election in Ohio we continue to watch, but we are less than 100 days out to midterm elections. Do you expect to see the GOP embrace this issue and embrace the president's policy on immigration?
Well, it's a good question. I don't know about the GOP, but I can speak about the president. I mean, he gave a masterful performance on Saturday night. He's anchored to this position, and he'll be speaking about the position. I think the people that have tied themselves to the president, those seem to be winning these elections. And so I'm here in Cleveland tonight. I know the race is close, but it looks like Balderson will probably eke it out. People have asked me here, does that mean a good news or bad news for the midterms? And I would say it doesn't mean either, because we're 90 days out, Sandra, and 90 days out is like 3 lifetimes, or let's face it, it could be 33, 34 mooches if you're measuring them on 11-day units. So, you know, for me, it's too long to really make the prediction. But I do think that the president's got the mojo in his favor. If we can get the content right and the style and the campaign strategy right, he should do very well in the midterm elections.
Polls closing a few minutes from now. We'll be covering all of that. Meanwhile, I got to ask you about the Paul Manafort trial, week 2, day 2 of this week. Rick Gates, his former business partner, flipping on his former boss. They committed bank and tax fraud together. He has laid this out before the judge. He's now talking about this secret life. He's been forced into this situation before the judge, an affair, a flat in London. It got pretty personal in that courtroom today.
Hey, listen, it's a rough case. It's very hard to see. I had the opportunity to work with both of those people during the campaign. I got along with both of those people. You know, I do believe that Paul Manafort will now have his day in court and give his side. But, boy, it looks very, very ugly. And listen, people are innocent until they're proven guilty, Sandra, but this is not a great case. It's not a tidy case, but I don't think either of these men did anything that could implicate the president. It seems like these activities were happening well before they joined the Trump campaign, and so hopefully this will get resolved shortly. It's a nasty thing to see, and since they're both friends of mine, or at least good acquaintances, I feel bad about the situation.
Well, Rick Gates, the key witness there, is expected to hear another hour from him tomorrow. Finally, Wall Street Journal is reporting former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen's under investigation for tax fraud. Bank loans are under scrutiny. He's got mounting legal pressures here, and I wanted to get your thoughts there, Michael Cohen.
Well, listen, again, another person I work closely with. I've known Michael for at least a decade. It's very hard to understand that case. The Manafort Gates case, the indictments have already been out. And so once the indictments are out on Michael Cohen, it'll be much easier to offer a strategy, much easier to see where the case could unfold. But let me tell you something. When the feds want you, they go in a mail fraud direction and they go in a tax fraud direction. That's how they obviously got Al Capone. So it's a tough thing to see. I'm sure he'll either have a defense or he'll plea it out. But again, is the president a target, or is the president somehow implicated in these things? It doesn't seem like he is.
And that is the big question. And of course, we love to have you in the program. Thank you very much, Anthony Scaramucci. Good to see you. 90 days till midterms. That's an attorney in politics, right?
I think so.
Anthony, thank you.